there, and welcome to Fantasy for the Ages, the show where a father and son sit down and talk about fantasy books. In this case, I'm the son of that equation, Zach.
And I'm the father, Jim. Thanks for being with us again today as we gather for nerdy fun. Specifically, we're talking about The Wheel of Time, Book 5, The Fires of Heaven. We are so close to the end of this book now, and we have a couple of great chapters to do today. Zach, how you doing this fine Saturday morning?
I'm doing pretty well. As I told you before we started recording here, yesterday was Rolly's Gotcha Day, so we've officially got him for over a year now, planning on many more.
Yeah, I didn't know that term, Gotcha Day. That was new for me.
So we celebrated his first birthday with us earlier, and now we've celebrated his first whole year with us.
All right.
How are you doing, Dad?
I'm doing all right. It's been a weird day for me. I was on a work trip yesterday, so I was 3.5 hours from here, and my work there finished up late, so I actually stayed overnight in that city, but I wanted to be home to record. So I got up at 3:30 this morning and drove home, but it all worked out. I had plenty of time. Heck, I had enough time that I stopped for donuts on the way home. So, man, real donuts from a donut shop. I haven't done that in a long time. They were delicious. Your mother may be eating hers now. I don't know if she's gotten up yet.
You know what? I don't blame her if she hasn't. It's
totally a Saturday. Okay to not. That's right.
I would have slept in, but Rolly said no.
This is another reason we don't have a dog.
I mean, he lets Rachel sleep.
It just means you're the one that's been a sucker and gets up and takes care of him.
I'm the lighter sleeper,
I guess. Later today will be fun. It's going to get hot again here. 89 today, but that's not bad compared to what we've been dealing with. Hey, we had 3 days that were over 100 last week. Well, no, earlier this week.
I don't 3 days remember in a row. A day when hundreds weren't the norm.
Yeah,
the sun goes down and it's still in the hundreds for
you
a couple
wanted
hours.
To move to Texas, so that's the way it is, dude. I stayed here so I don't deal with this, okay?
I'm not complaining about my heat. I'm just laughing at what you call heat.
Hey, 108 is hot. I don't care where you are.
It was. The 80s you're talking about is not.
No, it's still hot for us, but it's a nice hot. That was my point. I'm happy with 80s. So this evening, your mother and I have another wine tasting event. We're going out to dinner in the vineyards up at Pomeroy, just 20 minutes north of us. Hopefully it's still not 89 as we're sitting outside for that. 85, 84, just a little more pleasant.
It can get to 90. That way it's not 89. No?
Anyways, no. So I'm drinking coffee today in one of our mugs. I'm rocking our merch.
Yo, I don't know when we got lightning mugs. That's cool.
Isn't that cool? Absolutely.
See,
and it moves
really well
as you move. Ooh.
I think that's my favorite accidental green screen thing.
I may have to stop partway through the episode and get more coffee though, because I'm getting kind of low here.
You know what? That's fair.
If it happens, you'll just sing and dance for a little bit, and entertain the crowd.
Nope.
Are you drinking anything?
Some totally not branded cola.
Chilled or room temperature?
This one's chilled.
It was your Grandma Hansen who always wanted it room temperature.
Well, generally, it's a hot take, I know, but I actually don't really love it straight out the fridge or whatever. We keep them in the fridge because Rachel's sane, and that's how people like their soda usually. Don't get me wrong, I don't want warm soda, but if you cool it down too much, it's not as bubbly. You don't get as much flavor. I'm not as big of a fan.
I mean, you're a little true on the flavor part, but I don't think it impacts the bubbliness. I take it right out of the fridge, and the bubbles will go everywhere.
100%. I'm just telling you from a scientific perspective, I'm right.
Well, it's plenty bubbly even when it's cold. I don't need it more bubbly than that.
More of that CO2 is going to stay in solution. It's not going to bubble out as much.
Well, that's fine, but I don't need more bubble than what I'm
like the bubble.
Okay. A few notes for today. One, last time we did Wheel of Time recording, which was 5 episodes ago now, we had almost 400 YouTube subscribers.
That was
Now, that
huge.
was just 2 weeks ago that we actually did
Yeah.
that recording. Since that time, we've jumped to almost 450.
450.
Remember when we used to talk about it was kind of fun to maybe have 1 or 2 new subscribers on a day?
Yeah, 4 or 5 now and then.
We've had like 80 in the last month now. It's like, this is fantastic. Thank you,
love
everybody.
But wow.
Yeah, please stick around. We're going to keep putting out stuff. Whether you're watching the Wheel of Time content or you're here for all the other shenanigans, we're glad to see you. Well, we're glad you're seeing us. We don't see you much, but we do watch your comments.
So we kind of see you.
That's right. Today, it is now less than 2 weeks before season 2 of the Wheel of Time drops on Prime Video.
Correct, because it's 2 weeks from when I really feel like it should drop, because it's a birthday present to me.
Now,
I'm okay with getting it early.
It will actually be out already by the time this episode drops on our channel. So we're talking about ancient history now, as they see it. But as we're recording, we're still 12 days away. I did arrange to take September 1st off as a vacation day. So in my time zone, it's going to drop August 30. Well, technically it'll be September 1st, but it'll be midnight. So the last day of August, when it hits midnight and becomes September 1st, boom, Wheel of Time. So I took that day off. So I can stay up late and I can watch all 3 episodes that drop and then go to bed.
Nice.
And then get up and watch them again if I feel like it.
Did not take it off. I will probably be watching it either that night or on my birthday.
Well, I know I will be watching it again when your mom gets home from work that day.
She's not going to stay up with you?
No.
And then be miserable at work?
Although she doesn't have traditional work. Both those 2 days, they're closed. Her childcare is closed. It's that time of year where they retool. We're actually having all the staff over that night, Thursday night, for a big staff cookout and stuff.
So keep everyone over and everyone watch the season 2 premiere.
No, go home. Go away. I want to watch with nobody bothering me. All right. Any updates on what you're reading, Zach?
Yes. I finished Babylon's Ashes.
Okay. So I can change the image. I still had Nemesis.
Yeah, Nemesis Games is still up there, but I finished Babylon's Ashes now. And have started Golden Sun, the second book in the Red Rising stuff. Okay. And I also, I think this is since the last time we did recording, I'd finished The Burning God, because I finished that like on the plane back from having seen you most recently. So technically, this is what's next, and you're very happy. But I don't think we talked about it. For those
Deadbeat.
Deadbeat.
You haven't started it yet? It's just
I have not actually started it yet. It's the next thing I'm reading, but I haven't sat down and done physical reading.
It wastes no time getting good. It wastes no time. This one, yeah, you're gonna enjoy it.
I don't know. You've built this thing up so much that now I can't help but be disappointed. I'm sorry.
Nope. It's that good. You won't be disappointed. Doesn't matter what I said. It's great. I look forward to you eating those words, and do not fail to eat those words out of stubbornness. No.
I may fail to eat those words, but if I do, it's not out of stubbornness. I promise. I am giving this series the fairest shot that I can, because I know you love it, and I love my father. I want to support the things that you love.
Shucks. Now, when are you starting Malazan?
Eventually.
Yeah, that is so good.
It's on the list. It's just, down there enough because I've got other things I'm reading.
I understand. All right, let's talk Wheel of Time. Chapter. I didn't tell you what I was reading. Whoops.
Oh, you're not reading anything. You don't do that. You gave up after you hit triple digits. You said I'm good for the year.
I don't change much. The 3 things I'm reading are all on the bottom of the screen still.
You're still reading Night Angel Nemesis?
Man, yeah, I'm only 57% in.
I'm gonna finish that before you do, and I haven't started it.
It's entertaining. It's just, I don't know. I cannot keep with it. Partly because I'm reading the hardcover. I know.
Yeah, I think you have
The
issues with
medium is
physical
messing with
books
me.
nowadays.
I don't
Which is
enjoy holding the
really
book.
weird to me
Just,
because I
man.
love holding a book.
Oh, I just don't. And House of Chains, Malazan, I'm doing well. I'm about third of the way into that one now. It's great. And the one below me, John O'Brien's New World series, there's 10 books in it. This was book 7 below me. Well, I'm on book
That's what
9
it
now. I
says.
just haven't changed the picture yet. And I'm like 2/3 of the way through book 9. So this series has really taken off well. So good stuff. Zombie apocalypse, man. All right. Now let's talk about chapter 53 of the Fires of Heaven, which is called Fading Words. And if you remember, we left off with that epic moment where Moiraine body slams, football tackles Lanfear through the door frame Terangrial, and everything faded to white.
And they're both gone.
Bye, bye, bye. We are in Rand's point of view as he's staggering back to his feet. The intense pain and agony that he was feeling under Lanfear's attack is fading. He's shaking it off. I mean, he's not like, oh, goody, I feel so great now. No, I mean, he's feeling the ramifications, but he's not being attacked anymore. That has stopped. He saw what Moiraine did, and he's like, she's gone. Whoa. Lan lurches up to his feet, leaning against the wagon, almost falling. Rand grabs him with air. He's still holding on to Saidin to hold him up, or Lan might have tipped right over again. And he's also, you can see it on Lan's face, she's gone. As a result of the channeling that Lanfear had done, remember she had been using heat, flames. So, I mean, the wagon now is just going up in a complete ball of flame. And it's even melting the doorway Terangrial.
That's crazy, because as far as we knew, Terangrial don't just like melt.
I mean, it looks like it's made of stone, but the stone is melting and melting and melting.
Hey, stone melts if you get it hot enough.
Yeah, well, apparently it's getting hot enough. No one's going to be using that doorway anymore, though. That's for sure. Rand, he tries to channel to deal with the fire and stuff, and that doesn't work so well because he's still under this dome. Remember the dome?
Yeah, he made a dome of sorts. I always think dome is misleading because it's not like round. It was more like a hallway dome. But he made this dome to kind of like keep him and Lanfear hopefully separated from everyone else. Except there were a couple other people in there too.
Yeah. But he dispels the dome now so that he can deal with the smoke and fire, and he channels that up and away. Yeah. And that allows others to start approaching now. And kind of, we pick up the pieces of this battle. Things that are clearly and quickly apparent is that, yeah, Moiraine's gone. There's no Moiraine. Lanfear too. I mean, she took her out, but there's no more Moiraine.
There is no body for either, though. It's not like, oh, they just are dead on the ground. No, they're gone.
Egwene, it's pretty dinged up. Oh, I do want to touch on that bit with Moiraine being gone, though. Lan also makes a point of saying, I can no longer feel her presence. What does that mean? Remind us of what that means.
He's got that water bond thing. They can like sense each other and some certain bits of emotion and feeling through it. And exactly what that all entails is a little bit unclear, simply because we haven't really had a lot of POV describing it,
right?
Describing how it feels, at least at this point in the series. But we do have a general understanding at this point.
Yeah, and so the fact that Lan cannot feel that at all, it's just completely gone, suggests, again, this is not just some illusion or something. No, she's gone. There's no Moiraine here anymore. Avienda was looking pretty rough from what Lanfear had done, but she was still on her feet at least. Egwene is like practically out cold. She's on the ground, so people are checking on her. Matt's kind of waving his hat over her, trying to snap her out of it. The wise ones come and they see Avienda and Egwene, and okay, Avienda's still on her feet, so they kind of leave her be, but they swarm to Egwene and they tell Rand, this one will not be going with you. Going where? What? Remind us of where they're going shortly?
So they are still planning to run out, and this is Camelin plan, correct?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, they must have killed like more gays. Let's go deal with this Lord Gabriel. Let's go deal with that.
Yeah. So
strike team, whatever we want to call it.
Egwene is off the team. Okay, she's gonna need rest. We are taking her into our charge. She will not be going with you.
Don't worry, Egwene. You haven't been benched. You just put on injury reserve.
But Avienda is doubling down very clear. But I'm fine. And Rand, looking at between the two of them, he's like, you don't look any better than Egwene. But Avienda is almost staring daggers at him. I'm fine.
Okay. I clearly look better. I'm walking.
Right. Looking around in general, everybody's kind of slowly recovering from the shock of what happened, because this all happened really fast. But many of them, had been fleeing in terror or were knocked over or had veiled the Aiel and were coming and trying to get in but couldn't get past the dome. Now they're all unveiling, shaking things off, kind of recovering. There are some that are injured in the area, and wise ones are attending to people. But Rand notes there's still not a single maiden of the spear in sight. What's up with the maidens? Yeah, he still doesn't know. Rand and Lan have some quick words then. Rand apologizes for failing to save Moiraine. He feels terrible that this happened, and he couldn't do anything about it.
I love here that Lan is basically like, yeah, no, you couldn't do anything about it. And you know what? I'm not mad at you about it. Because let's be real, you've never really been able to stop Moiraine from doing anything she wanted to do, and nor has anyone else.
He also points out, what happened with Moiraine here could have happened hundreds of times over the last 20 years that I've been traveling with her battling the dark. This just was her time. And she went out like the warrior she was.
And you know what? I recognize all the foreshadowing. She knew it was coming.
And not only that, Lan confirms he's got to go. Because Moiraine put some things in place for when something like this would happen. Now, this comes out because Rand's like, well, I hope we can still be friends. And he's kind of implying, I hope you're going to stick with me and we can still, continue on in what the good fight that we have to do together.
And like, I like you, Rand, but
yeah, we're still friends, man.
No, I gotta go.
I gotta peace out. Now, what he explains is that Moiraine did something that used to be done hundreds of years ago, but has not been done in a long time to Lan's bond. She made, what did she do?
She made arrangements so that when the time came for this to happen, his bond would pass to another Aes Sedai. And it has.
Yeah, he feels it. There's another Aes Sedai out there. He can sense where she's at, and he's got to go to her.
Now, notably, I just want to briefly point out here, this means that Lan also isn't just like he can't feel Moiraine. It's not like she did this and now he knows for certain that she's gone forever or she's dead or whatever. No, he knows this because he can't feel her because he feels something else.
Yeah. So the bond clearly passed. There's only one way that happens. Yeah.
We've seen in the TV show what kind of emotional toll it has when someone you're bonded to dies. And I want to highlight here that this is important for Lan, that this is something that has happened, but he's not actually feeling that like forced trauma that the bond imposes on someone who experiences their bonded partner die.
He is feeling some trauma.
Oh yeah, but not supernaturally.
It's directed into something else, though, that he has a compulsion, basically. Let's be clear here. A bond is a form of compulsion.
Yeah.
He's being compelled now. Instead of what he'd rather do, seek vengeance for Moiraine's death and go out in a blaze of glory to, which is what she knew he'd want to do. He instead has to go to this other Aes Sedai who he is now bonded to. Yeah. And that is why Moiraine did it. He was too valuable to the fight to see him toss his life away when she was gone.
And you know what? I don't think it's too much of a spoiler to say we'll probably see Lan again because he is important to the fight.
Yeah, I like that. He does have a last thing to say. Well, a couple last things to Rand. The first of them is about Nynaeve. Because he also, and this is telling that even in his trauma at Moraine's passing here, he's thinking of Nynaeve. And he's like, okay. He says, a plain wound heals quickest and pains shortest. So I'm looking at my notes and thinking, did I mistype that?
I don't know. You may have. That doesn't feel quite right.
I'm gonna find the spot.
And it was important enough to you that you put it in quotes. You wanted to say it.
Right, jumping back. Because plain, that word there, I don't think I just mistyped plain.
It does look like an aeroplane. So
I think it's supposed to be a clean. I think it's supposed to be a clean wound.
That would make sense.
There it is. Yeah, a clean wound heals quickest and pains shortest. Basically saying, let's just rip the Band-Aid off now. Okay, tell Nynaeve, I've gone to be a Green Sister's lover as well as her sword. That'll make it easier on Nynaeve. What? He does not understand women at all.
It won't. But like, dude, stop pushing her away and trying to hurt her.
But that aligns with the follow-up comment, his final thing to Rand, where he says, the two of us kind of have some things in common here. We both have darkness and death around us, and it's better if women just stay away.
While you're not necessarily wrong, one, you're wrong and get your macho bullshit out of here. Two, not exactly the same boat, considering, yeah, you were born into it, Lan, but then, you chose to perpetuate it, and it was the honorable thing to do. Rand doesn't really have a choice. Not really.
Okay.
Or Lan has more choice in this than Rand does.
True. Lan leaves. He's gone. Rand steps away, goes off for a little bit of privacy, and he pulls out Moraine's letter. Remember, she gave him these 2 letters, one for him, one for Tom next time you see him. And totally more meaning now. It's like, she said, these aren't for you now. This is for you later when I'm gone. Holy crap, Moiraine. You what? Because now you're gone. Okay. Opens the letter. The first thing he sees is, and this is where we get the name of the chapter, Fading Words. These words will shortly fade from the page. They are meant for you and you alone, and then they will be gone. In other words, this tape will self-destruct after you've accepted this mission. 5, 4, yeah. So he keeps reading, and wow. The letter confirms what we'd already, as readers, sensed. She totally knew this was going to happen. She saw it in Ruidian, but we also learned that she saw there were 3 possibilities, 3 outcomes of this meeting Lanfear here at the docks. One was that Lanfear would kill Rand. It's all over. 2, she'd leave with Rand And when next he'd be seen, he'd no longer be calling himself Rand al'Thor, but Luce Theron Telamon, and he'd be both Lanfear's lover and right-hand man. Or 3, Moiraine would take out Lanfear. Those were the only 3 outcomes of what was going to happen right here. And so Moiraine did her darndest to make sure the one that gave the world a chance is what happened.
Which is a really good thing, but a part of me really wants this to have been Lanfear's story all along, and we saw option 2. I think that would have been interesting as well.
You're a dark, dark man, Zach. Dark, dark.
Yeah.
No, Rand is ticked to read all this. He's like, it wasn't your decision. To just keep this to yourself and make that move without telling me? That's wrong. But she, even in the letter, clarifies, I couldn't let you know about this because that would have changed the outcome.
And if I'd let you know, it would have been option 1 or 2 for sure. Option 3 wasn't an option.
No. You would have taken steps to try to make sure I couldn't sacrifice myself, which would have, resulted in an option that was less positive for the world. So she just couldn't say it. But at the end of the letter, at the tail end, there's a couple other big things that she drops in here. One is she tells him to not trust, moving forward, not trust any woman who is now full Aes Sedai. Now, those words are very intentional.
Yeah.
But she also says, as much as you should have as much suspicion for Varen as Alviarin. And Rand's like, why'd she pick those 2 names? Is there meaning in that? Which we as readers should be going, why'd you pick those 2 names? Is there
there's no meaning. It's just 2 names that we recognize. That's all.
Of course, they are 2 that he's familiar with. Varen being one of the few that definitely early on knew he was the Dragon Reborn. And Alviarin being the one he most recently got a letter from, suggesting she's kind of on his side. Yeah. But the biggest bombshell of the letter then, the biggest extra bombshell.
Oh, yeah.
Is when she comments, and I can't fully approve of what you're doing with Jason Natel, but I understand. Which is supposed to reveal what?
That she knows that Jason Natel is Asmodean.
Yep. She's known it. Known it for weeks, months. Who knows?
And at the end of the day,
kind of played stupid.
Look, we don't trust him. Duh. But I get that you need to learn things that I can't teach you.
Yeah. And her final words, you will do well. Aww.
Now, is that actually a hopeful, I think you'll do well?
You will do well.
Or is it, it's a command. No, it's telling him, you will do well. I had to do all this. You better do well. You're going to. It's not a you're gonna
will
try.
Do well.
You're gonna do your best. No, you will do well.
Now, it does play, that perspective plays back into her warning about Aes Sedai, because she wasn't just saying be, suspicious of all Aes Sedai because they're evil. That wasn't what she was saying. She said, because we have spent thousands of years as Aes Sedai manipulating everybody, and it's very hard to stop doing that. And you cannot be manipulated by Aes Sedai. You must be allowed to be free to fulfill your destiny. So,
granted,
be very wary of the Aes Sedai.
He totally can be manipulated, but he ought not be.
Yeah. Now, Rand finishes this letter, and I don't think the book actually said it, but it probably at that point, flickers into a bush of flame and it's gone or something.
I like that it's just literally the words fade from the page.
Fade from the page.
The ink's gone.
But then he's just sitting there pondering when, lo and behold, a maiden of the spear shows up.
Lo.
Sulin. And Sulin's been one we've kind of seen who's been a leader of this society of warrior women. And she walks in, makes some comment to him, what are you doing here? Just sitting getting all misty-eyed and all. We have stuff to do, don't we? and then casually takes one of her spears and breaks it over her knee. That's odd. But he talks to her a little bit, and she reveals the fact, that we maidens aren't real happy because you've been basically disrespecting us,
Correct.
taking our honor from us,
Correct.
because you won't let us take chances, risks, and snaps another spear over her leg. And he's like, what is going on? And they have it out a little bit here. And she's about to snap her third spear, and he literally channels and stops her from being able to break it. What are you doing? And, if she had broken that last spear, she's no longer a maiden. And it's like, you've taken everything from me, so I might as well just... And as they have it out in words, talking it through, where he acknowledges the fact, I have issues with letting women die, okay? I don't want women to die.
You're correct. You
She's
could have also stopped after the word issues.
And she's like, sometimes it's hard to remember. You didn't grow up amongst the Aiel. You just don't get it.
I don't think it's that hard to remember. He constantly reminds them with his stupidity.
And yet they see him as a child of a maiden. They see him as the Karakarn
so desperately.
And they have seen
more Aiel than he is.
They have seen his honor. They have seen what he can be. So, yeah, it's still frustrating that he doesn't get some of these things. Basically, she comes out and says, though, you can't decide if we will take risks. That's not your decision to make.
Which is a great time to have this conversation, right as he was mad at Moiraine for making risks that he didn't want to let her have. It's like, hey, this is a very poignant conversation. This is a brilliant the maidens.
Author writing moment. Yeah, Robert Jordan doing this very deliberately. So she gets him with her logic and her relentlessness to back down. Because she says, hey, we know this is the last straw. We know you have this thing going on where you're going after Rahvin. You are heading on some attack. You've kept it hush-hush, but we found out. And you've allowed a group of Aiel men from all the other societies to come with you except us. And that's it. We ain't doing it. We're done. So I won't break the spear. You won't let us be warriors. We get it. Okay. No,
it's a super valid complaint. Because if he had been like, no, I'm bringing a couple people from this one group and maybe this one other group, that's one thing. But when you do everyone except for them, you're singling them out.
Exactly. So he caves. He says, fine. I hear you. I don't like it, but fine. You may go ahead, select as many maidens to join us as I have from any of the other male societies. Good. And she goes and leaves the space where they've been talking. He follows her out. And there's a line of like every other maiden all holding their 3 spears, all one right after another, ready to go in, have the same talk, and wear him down. And Sulin's just like gives a nod at all of them, and they're all, oh, okay. And they all turn around and leave.
Yeah, he was much easier to break down than they were prepared for. They were prepared to break every single spear.
They were all in here.
Let it all down. Turns out we just needed Sulin.
Matt's there going, so what the heck? Were they all taking turns kind of beating you down now or something? It's like, no, never mind.
No, but he deserves it.
And then Matt's got this grin on his face, and he's like, how can you be so happy right now? It's like, well, I'm alive. We just land fear, and I'm alive. So, yes, I'm happy. Okay. Well, Rand kind of finishes up the chapter by telling him, well, all right, glad you're happy, because it's time to roll the dice. It's time to go after Rahvin. End of
Let's do it. Let's go to Caemlyn.
Chapter 54. Yes, very aptly named. But before I can do that, my coffee's gone. So,
oh no.
Talk about nonsense and sundry with them if you like.
Nonsense and sundry.
Yeah, whatever.
That is a term. So while he's making coffee, I'm later today going to be making some tea. I'm going to do a fun little plug here for people that don't pay me in any way, shape, or form. In fact, I paid them because it's this company called D&T. They make some wonderful teas. They also make some really fun, nerdy tea accessories. I've got one right here that I'm going to be trying out here. It's a nice little tea infuser, right? Awesome. But the chain at the end is a D20 that even does have the 20 more or less at the top, so I can have it just kind of sitting in my tea and roll it. But no, 100% hands down. If you like tea, give them a try. If you like tea and nerdy things, they've got these tumblers that have the infusers inside them, so you can still do their loose leaf stuff. For a long time, I was looking for good teas because I liked Tivana when it was a thing, and then they stopped being a thing because
they're not a thing anymore.
Well, Starbucks bought them, and so now you can only do the like couple of different flavors of prepackaged things that exist. They don't have Tivana stores that sell loose leaf anymore. So I've been looking for places that had loose leaf stuff that I liked. And I found this while at RTX, and I gave them money because I liked their stuff.
Well done. That's definitely Sundry. Good job. And they should be like sponsoring us now, right?
Like I said, they haven't given us any money, but I've given them money, and I like their stuff.
All right, let's talk about To Camelin.
Oh, they're also actually Portland-ish based. Sorry.
That's okay. It's actually a tough chapter to cover well.
Yes.
Because there's a lot that happens, but a lot of action, a lot of things. So we're going to be maybe not as in much detail as we are in some other chapters, because we're just moving through the action.
Don't get me wrong. Of course, action sometimes will be very detailed because I like going into weird details about it.
Sometimes, yeah.
The last time I read this now was like a year ago when we started this book, so it's a little rusty.
The next chapter has even more action, but that's for next time. Okay, so To Camelin. Rand has arrived at the palace now. He's back at the palace. He's got a whole bunch of maidens with him ready to go, and they're coming in where all the other Aiel who hadn't gone down to the docks, ones that were just now waiting back at the castle, had gathered in this courtyard in the castle, ready to go, waiting for Rand. He's got a whole mess of Aiel. There's actually, with the maidens now, it's about 6,000 Aiel who have gathered, thinking they're all going with Rand. And that's almost all he's taking. Like in the courtyard, that's all who's gathered except for one non-Aiel. A man named Pevin. Do you remember who Pevin is, Zach?
I'm going to take a guess because I was looking at this and going, I don't think so. And then I'm like, well, maybe I do. Is Pevin the standard bearer?
Yes. He was a refugee, a Kyrianan refugee. His family's gone. They died in the Shido attacks. And he's kind of latched onto this role. He holds Rand's standard.
Which is like
he's there.
One of the most dangerous places on any battlefield.
Now, Pevin doesn't know what's going on. He just knows, I heard there's something happening where you're taking all these Aiel to go do something. So
people are gearing up. They're carrying your honor. I carry your honor too.
Yep, here I am. No questions asked. Now, also with Rand coming to this gathering are 3 other people, only one of whom's Aiel, Avienda, but Matt and Jason Natal, aka Asmodean, are also with. Because originally it wasn't the plan for Asmodean to come with, but Asmodean had convinced Rand it will be better if I do come with you. I can maybe make a difference. I said there's no other Kyrianan or Tyrion down here in the courtyard, but there's plenty watching, all up in the upper galleries, watching what's going to happen here. That's where all the nobles and others are, because they don't really like to rub elbows with the Aiel, so they don't want to be down there. They'll wait up above and watch what's happening. There is a little bit a note of something as the chapter started, where Rand is simply reflecting on having overheard just a little earlier a conversation between the Wise Ones and Avienda back at the docks before they were going to head to the castle. That still has him a little puzzled, where these Wise Ones, are talking to Avienda, and he's overhearing, but he's not supposed to be overhearing. I mean, once they realize he's overhearing, shuts this thing right down and they glare at him. But the bit he catches is they're telling Avienda, be careful now. He is so important, and you both are important. So be very careful. And then one of them saying, and after all this time, we would have thought you could have accomplished, your mission, what you were supposed to have done. And then Amis, who's one of the wise ones there, looks at the others and goes, oh, no. She's accomplished the mission. Let me tell you. And this is where they realize Rand is watching. And it shuts down. Okay, Rand does not know what this is. He's like, the mission? I mean, I knew she was spying on me. That doesn't sound like what they're talking about. What are they talking about? Okay, what are they talking about?
Amis is either a really, really good judge of character, can see the fact that Avienda hates Rand more, kind of in certain ways, or that Rand is less and less willing to have her at risk, or whatever. Or she may know about an igloo because maybe Avienda went and told one person seeking punishment.
The key, and this was mentioned by the Wise Ones to Avienda early on, and this is something readers should remember, so I'm going to bring it up because as a first-time reader, you might not have. The main reason Avienda has been tasked to spend so much time with Rand is so that he will come to better know and love his people. And perhaps by loving Avienda.
Yeah, a better know and love on a grand and personal scale.
But they are at his mercy. And if he doesn't truly understand, embrace, and love the Aiel as a people, then there's no hope. So that was her task. And really, it's kind of worked. It has kind of worked.
Because he does view them not just as his army and tools, but he views them as his.
Yes. So now he's staring out at this gathered mass of Aiel, and he's not sure he can manage quite all of these Aiel to come with him. But the Aiel chiefs were like, hey, we are going to get as many to come with you as you can possibly manage. So we're here. Let's see what happens. So let's see what happens. Rand grabs Sidene and opens a gateway into blackness. And he steps through it onto what looks like a paving stone, like right in the courtyard, but now out hanging over this blackness. And he steps onto it. It's solid. And he's gonna see what he can do. We have seen him do this before.
Yeah.
Did it have a name? I think it had a name.
Yes, he's skimming.
Yes. So he's planning. This is how he's going to go from Cairhien to Caemlyn to Andor in Caemlyn in Andor. He's going to skim. But his plan is to take as many with him as he can. So he's like, all right, so I'm here. I'm ready. Now, let's make this as big as I can. And instantly it shoots out to all horizons as far as the eye can see. Fantastic, except he starts immediately sinking into the rock. It's like, whoa, wait a second. No,
that's not
I think
good.
I stretched the silly putty too far. He sucks it all right back to him again. Okay, boom, boom, boom. Solid again. All right, maybe we need to do this a little more systematically.
Figure out where the limit is.
That's right. So he creates another paving block on all sides. Just kind of incrementally, it gets bigger. Yeah, that all still works. And he repeats and repeats and repeats.
He's building his platform out like you do in Minecraft.
Very good. Very apt. Minecraft is just kind of the world of dreams, isn't it? Whatever you can think of, you can make. So he does this until he finally does one more, and it starts to feel a little fragile and takes that one back. Okay, he's got it stretched out as far as he can truly, genuinely believe it will work. At which point, something comes into his mind. It's like a past memory. We create our own limitations. He's done it as far as he believes it will work. Potentially, if he believed it would work farther, it would have worked farther.
If he
Is what he's
believed he could
thinking
do it
now,
to the
but
horizon, I think he could have.
yeah, but self-imposed limitations. That's kind of how this channeling stuff works. So now that he's got something solid, he says, "All right, y'all, come on in." And he moves all the way to the far end, opposite his gateway, and they start pouring in. Avienda's the first one in. Asmodean comes in, he's like, "Woo, not bad." Which, of course, is not just the Gleeman saying that, but that's Asmodean looking at what Rand pulled off. It's like, not bad. They pack on as many as they possibly can. Now, Rand can't even see the gateway anymore. He's all the way on the other end. They just keep pouring on, and they're kind of condensing and pushing in, and he's like, okay, tell me when it's full. He can't see.
Yeah, he's like, don't push too much. If you fall, I don't know what happens.
Yeah, good point. He's like, don't get too close to the edge. This is an important point.
Clear the doors if you are stuck between them. I'm a little better sure what's going to happen there, and you don't want it to happen.
It's like, I could talk to you about a spear. So, is the gateway clear? They're like, yes. And he closes.
Okay, but is it actually clear?
So now, this platform is full of Aiel, elbow to elbow, pushed in tight, except for a little bit of space around Rand, Avienda, Matt, Asmodean. They've got just a little bit of room, but everybody else is packed in like sardines. And they start skimming. This is freaking Matt out because you can't see anything happening. They're just on this platform. There's like ambient light. There's no torches or something, but they can see, but you can't see beyond it. It's nothing but blackness.
And there's not really difference to the blackness.
Nothing at all. It's all
this is like, are they traveling?
Sameness.
Yeah, they're going somewhere else through this.
But there's no sense of motion.
Perceive that. You can't really tell that. You don't.
There's no wind in your hair.
There's no wind you're passing through. It's just like, that's creepy.
And, and it goes on and on and on. Rand's the only one who really knows. Well, Asmodean does too. He whispers into Rand's ear, not too close or he will sense you. It's like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. I know where I'm going. Quit backseat driving. I got this. But about 30 minutes in, so they're all just standing here. Imagine that, standing in blackness with no change and nothing and no information either. Kind of annoying. 30 minutes in, there's a little bit of a hubbub, little murmur through the Aiel. Rand's like, what? Yeah. Bob fell off. I mean, they don't say a name, but somebody fell off the platform.
Because now Bob's falling forever.
And this is the thing. Rand's like, no, because you say falling forever. Yeah, there's nothing here. So when you fall,
Bob's not dead yet, technically.
Will he ever?
He won't be for a few days until he probably runs out of water or food. But even in that sense, this space is a little funky in how or what it exists. So we're not entirely positive that that's necessary exactly.
And there's nothing here, and yet you'll fall down. So there's gravity? Okay, don't think too hard about this.
There's an idea and perception of it, but maybe in the sense that an MC Escher painting has gravity.
But he does wonder to himself now, okay, this person fell. What will kill them first? Will it be that they starve to death? Will the person go mad? Will their heart give out in fear? I mean, there's nothing you can do.
I like to think that theoretically, at some point, someone could open something into this space and create a platform and get horribly lucky or unlucky and they'd fall into it. However, the momentum itself would probably kill them. So
not a pretty
we're
thing.
glad we didn't explore that option.
Now, Rand almost makes a tactical error when they say someone fell off. He almost says, "One of the maidens?" Sulin sees him almost say that and literally shoots little laser daggers at him that he ducks and doesn't finish his phrase. Because it shouldn't matter. Was her whole point. It shouldn't matter which one. The women
it
are
should matter
just as
which
good as the
one,
men.
but not necessarily which one as specifically maidens versus everyone else.
Yeah. Besides, it was Bob. Didn't you hear me? It was Bob fell off. Bob fell off. Okay.
Bob could be a woman's name.
Going on. Eventually they arrive. Rand's the only one that knows. Again, nothing changes other than, all right, I'm here. And he opens a new gateway. And we find out what he had targeted, what he had in mind. He picked a place in Camelin that has both strategic and sentimental value. They come out on a street of the city within sight of a wall up at the top of a sloping hill. A wall that looks kind of natural, like rocks and such. It's the wall to the garden that Rand
there's
first
a tree
climbed.
right on the other side that looks like it would be really nice to climb and look over the wall.
Yep. He climbed it to see the procession of Logain way back in the first book, but he tumbled over and first meets Elaine and her doof bag of a brother, Gawain.
Both of them.
Yeah. Anyways, here we are. We're gonna go in through this same route because Rand knows this is a way you can get in unseen into the castle. So they're here. The Aiel start scattering out. Some are going out towards all the various little buildings around them to make sure nobody has seen them and can report on their arrival, while others head straight for that wall and start climbing up it. Perfect plan. Everything seems to be going fine until suddenly it's not.
Yeah, it's very not fine.
Because the wall bursts out, falls, crushes some of them.
Ow.
And out of the holes, Trollocs.
Yeah, usually walls and stuff, like, people break them down to break in. In this case, they said, nah. Element of surprise, baby. We break it out.
And then from the streets around them, more Trollocs and Myrddraal come running at them. Basically, they've run into an ambush.
Which makes you wonder,
Rahvin knew.
Was it something that was sensed and done? Was it something where, I'll just ambush every place and it'll work? Was it there's a spy? Or was it even just Rand's predictable because this is a nostalgic place for him? So this is clearly Rahvin planning something based on Rand, not necessarily based on LTT.
Yeah, it's a fair question. And it's hard to know. How did he know? But as they're then distracted and turning to fight off this sudden shadow spawn attack, Rahvin's not done. Lightning strikes come out of the clear sky. There's not a cloud in the sky, but suddenly lightning. And Rand throws up a shield of Sidene, which instantly protects him and those directly around him. And then, lightning doesn't take very long. It's just, and it's over. And as the smoke clears, Rand's fine. And off a ways from him, there's still Aiel fighting off Trollocs and Myrddraal, but there's kind of a buffer zone between what the shield covered and farther out where they were beyond what lightning could hit. And we get to see that the lightning didn't just come after Rand, because there's others around who have been hit. And you can see the smoking corpses of Mat, Asmodean, and Aviendha.
Well,
dead.
shit.
There we go. There we go. Rand predictably does not take that well.
No.
He does a Captain Kirk. Rahvin! The big yell.
Yeah.
And even in his own mind, Rand is like, wow, that was me? That didn't sound like me. And then he goes nuclear.
Well,
kind of envision Trollocs around him just bursting,
Yeah, it's important enough to be like, he goes nuclear, but not like, not creating
LTT
a new
nuclear. He doesn't create a volcano right where
Dragon
he's at.
Mount here. No.
But he just starts absolutely obliterating any Trolloc in sight. And says again, Rahvin. Not yelling this time. Now it's cold and it's dark and he's coming for him.
It's a cold fury as he just marches through Trollocs like butter, and they dissolve around him, exploding and bursting. And he's just going after the one person he knows is behind this.
Yep. And at this point, we're halfway through this final chapter of today. And then it totally segues to something completely different and non sequitur.
And now for something completely different.
Right? And it was a weird, harsh transition. It's like, what are you doing? We're in the midst of this. And let's go to Saladar, where Nynaeve is training Swan.
But don't you worry, there's a reason.
There is. So we're not really in Saladar. We're in the world of dreams. And it's Nynaeve with Swan and training her on how to do things in the world of dreams.
Because they brought those dreams to Angreal, they talked to the Aes Sedai, and if you remember, there was a whole thing about, you're going to still be using those because you're going to be teaching us how to use them. And then Swan was like, and you're going to teach me too, but don't tell them that.
And Nynaeve finagled Swan's bullying into, no, let's make a deal. So yes, she is training Swan, but in return, she gets to study Swan and Lyanna and Logain in regards to the way they were severed from the one power
things.
She wants to figure out what exactly happened, because it ought to be healable. And okay, they're humoring her. You can study us. This has not been going well, though. Nynaeve's whole experience in Saladar during all this time. First of all, she's not a very good teacher, because one thing teachers require is patience. And no one has ever accused Nynaeve of being a patient person.
No.
She's been short and snippy and a little condescending to those she's teaching. And when that's the Aes Sedai, she gets punished. She's been washing dishes, doing chores, set to penance more than once. And she's getting snippy with Swan. Swan's an Aes Sedai, right? Well, not really, So with her, it just gets into lip. They get all snippy with each other, and it gets kind of ugly. And that's kind of what we're seeing right now. But we also get some other thoughts here from Nynaeve that have piled on to make this an unpleasant experience for her. One of those being Faolain, who was one of those accepted when they arrived here, who had been accepted for a long time, has finally been allowed to test for Aes Sedai. So she's kind of Aes Sedai.
Yeah, she did the stuff that would earn her the Aes Sedai-ness, but didn't do the actual ceremony and procedures that make her Aes Sedai-ness, aka the Oath Rod. So she's Aes Sedai recommended.
Right. Now, we don't know yet what it is, what the ceremony they do to become Aes Sedai. That's still coming.
We just know that it does involve the Oath Rod in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, that's the final way of being confirmed as an Aes Sedai, because you swear those 3 oaths. So, yeah, until she swears the oaths, she's an Aes Sedai, but only sorta. Well, that leaves Foul Lane a little foul-tempered. I love the name Foul Lane, foul-tempered, because that's how I see her all the time. It has not made her any more pleasant to deal with. She already gave Nynaeve a hard time, but now she has the more prestigious bearing to do so. And then there was another one, another accepted, who was also very high in the ranks, Theodrin, who's not nasty like Foul Lane, but Theodrin has been giving Nynaeve a lot of extra attention because she's been tasked with something specific that she has taken to heart with a vengeance. And what was that?
Well, Nynaeve's got this nasty block where she has to be angry to channel. It's a thing that Wilders often have. Not necessarily this specific block, but they've got something. They need to use a staff because they're like, that's how you channel. It's like, no, it's not. It's really not. But you think it is. You impose your own limitations, as we learned earlier in the chapter. And so Nynaeve says she has to be angry. And trying to break through that means that Theodrin's kind of just beating her in a variety of different physical, mental, and emotional tortures.
Yeah, she is making her miserable.
It's not like, we're going to solve this, we're going to fix this. It's, no, we're going to break this.
We shall break you.
I like to
build you back up.
Theodrin probably was a horse trainer at one point in her life because she believes that to be perfectly like successful in training, you need to break someone.
Perhaps. So all of this is reasons for Nynaeve having a perpetually sour mood these days now. And as she's working with Swan, Swan is also not the best of students.
Nope.
Remember, Swan is someone for whom all this kind of stuff used to come easy. She was an extremely gifted and powerful Aes Sedai.
Now, that's not to say that she hasn't always been stubborn and a bad student. She may have been, but she was a gifted kid. Now she's has been burnt out, not burnt herself out, gifted kid.
Yeah. So now Nynaeve is trying to teach her how to use this ring to be in the world of dreams, one where she doesn't have to channel to do it, but still there's certain things you have to be able to do, and then what you can do when you are in Teleron Riyadh, and helping her through these things. And Swan has no patience for it and just wants to be able to do things, and why can't you explain it better, and blah 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 blah. And they start again snipping at each other, and that's what we're seeing on the page here.
And to be fair to Nynaeve here, none of the women that we've seen learning in the world of dreams really took to it quickly and easily to figure out. Egwene's the best, but she also quite literally is talented for it. Those who have been learning, Elaine, Nynaeve, it took a lot of time that we saw for them to be able to keep the right clothes on.
Yeah. As the struggle continues, they end up taking cheap shots at each other, where Swan verbally is disparaging Nynaeve's competency, and Nynaeve is poking Swan in places she knows will hurt. For instance, making a comment, the one that goes too far, is saying something related to Gareth Bryn, which is a touchy subject for Swan. And the two of them basically end up in a catfight. And then finally, they break it up, and it ends up in laughter, mostly from Swan, saying, how can we be letting ourselves descend into such ridiculous behaviors? We're women. We should be better than this. And Nynaeve's like, well, you're right.
You are better than this, but also
that's in here.
Really push each other's buttons.
They do so strongly. But they finally come to some agreement. Okay, we do need to strive to be better. So they're getting back to working on really focusing on things in a place in the world of dreams. They're like in a village. When Nynaeve sees something out of the corner of her eye, and immediately is like, oh, I need to get rid of Swan now. I need to make Swan go away. What does she see? Do you remember?
A spider.
That's one way of saying it. She catches out of the corner of her eye Moghedian. Now, she can't be 100% sure, but she's like 99.9% sure. I just saw Moghedian. Moghedian was watching us. This is finally a chance to deal with Moghedian. Or it's at least a chance to get Swan out of here, so I'm the only one who has to deal with Moghedian.
Because either way, it's going to be extremely dangerous, and Swan is way out of her depth.
Yeah. Now, there's a lot of stuff that happens here at the end of the chapter with this stuff. I'm not going to go through it all.
Okay.
I want to cut to the chase.
Okay, we skip past all of the juicy details and just to the results. Got it.
Well, not quite, but succinctly. Nynaeve pulls a fast one on Swan that forces Swan awake. She's out of the dream. Boom.
Which is a clever and intentional move by Nynaeve.
Because if she'd said, there's something dangerous happening, I think you need to leave now. Yeah, that wouldn't have worked.
No.
So, Swan's gone. And then she's left free to deal with Moghedian, who does reveal herself. Basically, aha, yes, I have found you. Well, it's time for round 2.
Heard before, if you see Moghedian in the dream, chances are she wanted you to see her.
Mm-hmm. And this is true. So here we go. They have a face-off, and they're going at it. We're going to go. We're going to do this. Before things get out of hand, however, Birgitte shows up.
So it really is round 2.
Yes, whoa! And Nynaeve is shocked that Birgitte shows up. What are you doing? And that's kind of the last thing Nynaeve would want to see. Birgitte show up, because the last time this didn't go very well. How does Birgitte know to find a way to get into the world of dreams? Because she doesn't just hero of the horn her way into Teleron Riad again.
No.
How does she do it?
Well, Swan got forced out, but Nynaeve's still there. There's something going on, and it was weird, and Birgitte can figure out. She puts 2 and 7 together and is like, oh, I got it.
And takes the ring from Swan and uses it as herself. So she entered with a ring. She's here the same way everybody else does it right now. And they're going to battle with Moghedian. Now, it really isn't so much a battle as a battle of wits is what happens. And Moghedian, she's the spider. She is savvy in the world of dreams and uber confident. So one thing she is not is she's not worried. Moghedian is ready to toy with them. She's ready to have her way with them. She has no worry or concern at all, and they use that to their advantage.
100%. This is a classic case of the villain biggest weakness being their hubris.
Yes. And what Nynaeve manages to pull off, I absolutely love. She manages to cause an Adam, like the Shanshen use, to appear around Moghedian's neck. Whoop. With the bracelet attached to Nynaeve. Let me double check that. It's from memory, but I'm looking at it here. Let's see. Yep. And the silver bracelet around Nynaeve's wrist. So she's got it. And Nynaeve knows, as she does this, that this is the world of dreams. If she believes this will do what it does in the real world, it will do it. More importantly, if Moghedian believes it will work here, it will work here.
And it gets to be a little bit of a funky, fun thing, because one of the functions of it is kind of helping control what one believes and perceives a little bit as well. So you can kind of just like reinforce, oh, you think it might actually work? Well, guess what? It's telling you that it does work, and now you actually think it works.
It's brilliant. And they are able to completely trap her right there under their power in the world of dreams. They've got her. They've caught Moghedien. So what then? Well, now they've got her cornered. They get her talking. And Moghedien, while a little worried, still, I'm a Forsaken. She's not super worried. She's like, okay, this is an annoyance that I have to figure out how to get out of. So she starts talking about some things, starts trying to, make deals with them, starts slipping them some information, things that they might find useful. One of the things that comes out is the revelation that other Aes Sedai have been teaming together to put a trap together for Rand al'Thor. And in fact, it's probably taking place right now.
Well, that's not good.
No, that's not good at all. So we're gonna wrap things up here is what Nynaeve moves. That's what her attention moves to. We need to deal with this, get this done, so I can go help Rand. I mean, that's why I left the Two Rivers in the first place, to protect and help these people. Rand's in the midst of a trap from Forsaken. I need to go help him. All right. So how do we wrap this up? What do we do to finish this off? Well, I'm looking at what it says specifically here to remind myself.
I'm letting you do it because you've got the book in front of you, and I don't want to go too far into the next chapters.
I'm just looking to see how they do it. Excuse me. Basically, Nynaeve, if I remember right, just kind of puts Moghedien to sleep. Wow, I wish I could find it fast enough here. Yeah. So basically, we're done with you now. We need to solve it. Go to sleep. And Moghedien is out.
Moghedien gets put in timeout.
But the key is then, okay, here's what we need to do now. I need to go find Rand. And I'm here in the world of dreams. I'm going to use the world of dreams to go do that. And see what I can do to help. You, Brigida, get out of here and find Moghedien. Because she's asleep. She's trapped. Find her in the real world. She found us. That means she's here somewhere with us. Go find her. It'll be the person who's asleep who you can't wake up. Because we put her to sleep here. Okay? Find her and we will deal with her.
Now, easy task, right? It's not like there's like hundreds, thousands of people.
They're going to have to go do some searching, that's for sure. Let's see, is that right? No, maybe that's not right. Maybe that's what happens in the next chapter.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't... That's why I was like, I don't want to go too far. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, truth in advertising, people. I ran out of time to finish the prep on my notes here. So I was doing that from memory. But as I look here at the very end of the chapter, Nynaeve had plugged up Moghedien's ears so she couldn't hear what they're talking about together. But Nynaeve opens up those flows and tells Moghedien and uses the Adam to make her listen, make her look at her, and says, "We are taking a trip, Moghedien, and you are going to help me with every last scrap of you. If anything takes me by surprise, Suffice it to say, anything that happens to the one wearing this bracelet happens to the one wearing the collar, only about tenfold. The sickly look in Mogideon's face said she believed, which was just as well, since it was true.
So the fun spot there is going, we forgot that Nynaeve takes her with.
Yeah, that's the part.
Has Mogideon take her.
So what I said is going to happen to Mogideon, that's still coming. Yeah, sorry, spoiler from the next chapter.
Sorry,
that's still coming.
Out spoiler room where he says the same thing he just already said. We just cut it differently this time. We're going to edit it.
But so they're going to use it. Okay, it's episode 223. We've had very few train wrecks like that. So it was just a minor derailment. We got the train back on the tracks and we finished the episode.
But now that we are back on the tracks, if this is your first time reading, you probably should leave because we're going to go back off the tracks as we spoil some things.
Yes, the spoiler room. So I should play a graphic that comes with that, shouldn't I?
I mean, maybe. The spoiler room. And we did it once because you've learned what you've been doing for 200 some episodes.
That's right. I'm now a pro with using my tools. We're not that kind of podcast. Don't read that the wrong way.
I didn't say anything.
All right. I have my mega die to use this time.
And I've got my nice little dragon
very
in
dangerously, here. I held it up here and my phone was directly under me. That's probably
that
not a good
actually
move.
Is not a good call.
This
you drop that a couple feet onto there, you would break the screen.
No Absolutely. Doubt. All right, here we go. Ooh, 14.
16.
Oh, man. All right. What would you like to spoil today?
I'm going to go for low-hanging fruit. Matt, Asmodean, Avienda, they're dead.
They are dead.
They're not going to stay dead. Which is to say they're not getting brought back to life. Rather, they're being undeaded.
But not in the undead sort of way.
No, in the sense that Rand is going to use some nice big balefire to take out Rahvin in a moment here. Some nice, thick, concentrated balefire, because it reverses time about the furthest we've seen to date.
Yeah.
Enough that it does catch the lightning strikes and all those people that got killed, including some important ones to us.
Take back.
They're going to be alive again.
Yep.
That's the low-hanging fruit. There's another lower-hanging fruit tied to the same thing that I'm not going to talk about now. Unless you take it, I might take it next time.
No, I'm going to leave it because I want to talk about something else. I know what you're meaning, but I'm not going to talk about that one. I'm going to talk about Lan. Okay, so Lan is riding off to his new green girlfriend. Okay, this tells me, in part, he completely knew what he was in for as he's leaving, because he's heading off to this green Aes Sedai who has a history of bringing back warders. She has done this before. Warders who have lost their Aes Sedai, lost their meaning in life, not necessarily ones where there was an arrangement like with Moiraine, but she has been one who could take on someone else's warder before and give them purpose again, make them her warder, nurse them back to health and vitality, primarily through sex. This is how she does it. She's just that good, apparently. And
what of it?
And he knows this is his fate now. He's got a girlfriend.
Well, let's walk that back a step. He believes this is his fate, and it's not a bad thing to believe. That's not saying that he's correct.
And let me ask you, was Robert Jordan trying to be witty? Was he perhaps being punny when he puts the words into Lan's
be
line?
Her lover and her sword?
Yeah. I mean, think about it. Was there a little entendre there, maybe? No.
Robert Jordan has talked about boys and their swords way too much.
But so, yeah, Lan is going to show up again because this Aes Sedai is one of the ones that's in Saladar. And so he will be discovered again. And that will lead him to then falling under the direction of, at that time, the Egwene, who will give him directions to go and find Nynaeve. Because by that time, Nynaeve is off on another mission and stuff.
Won't be in Saladar.
Which will lead to Lan saving Nynaeve and then marrying Nynaeve. So this all is going to work out well for Lan, but he doesn't know it when he leaves.
That's a nice, fun little tying up to this episode and chain thing. Will also lead to Nynaeve finally losing her block.
That is true. That is true. Wow, so much we're spoiling.
All the same thing.
But all these people who are listening to this, you all know this already.
They know it.
So you're here for that. Very good. All right, that's all I got. That's all you got. Let's wrap this up. Let's remind them of how they can connect with us.
All these things.
Which is ironic, because these people probably all know this
These
already.
things. This side.
Yeah, you were holding the wrong
Yeah,
side.
I keep getting my sides wrong sometimes. Look,
So,
it was
again,
right from me. It just was wrong.
If you aren't one of the people who hang with us on Discord yet, again, look for the link in the show notes. We'd love to see you there. And thank you to Patreon supporters. If you're not one of those yet, there's nothing stopping you. We'd love to see you add yourself to our Patreon supporters and help us continue to afford all this stuff. That's awesome. All right, I think that's all we got. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll talk to you next time.
Bye.